A couple found a lonely creature in the woods, but was bringing it home a good decision? Ariane and her partner were strolling along a mountain pathway when they suddenly heard a noise in the woods. They found a creature and weren't really planning on finding out what sort of creature was waiting in the woods for them. When they encountered another hiker, they had just come around a bend. He was obviously on the lookout for something. Despite their initial anxiety, the duo decided to stop and help. The man continued by explaining how he had heard tears coming from the bushes. These three people understood that the screams grew louder as they searched the area. Finally, they noticed two blazing eyes staring back at them from inside a dark, hollowed-out tree stump. The animal let out a mewing sound once again, and from the sound of it, it was scared and hiding. It was a kitten. As soon as they came closer, she would back away. It would be challenging to reach her. They tried to bribe her with something to eat, but she wasn't having any of it. She was so small that she probably wouldn't even know what solid food was or be able to eat it. With her surroundings in mind, Ariane stooped down and reached inside. Her attention was on the rescue. She almost made it in time to grab the small fur ball. The little thing, who was shaking from the cold and terror, was also quite little. This baby was obviously still in need of her mother. While Ariane and her partner took the kitten to safety, the other man searched for the mother cat and more kittens. The infant was swiftly wrapped up by Ariane inside her jacket, where it could feel cozy and begin to unwind. Despite not knowing what was in store for them, the couple chose to take her home. The kitten's sobbing wouldn't cease. Her absent mother and possibly some of her siblings were on the other end of the line. Her world must have felt like a very gloomy place, and she must have been afraid and hungry. Ariane didn't know much about raising a cat, let alone taking care of a starving, lonely kitten. But she knew that it was essential for the baby to start eating. It would be the difference between life and end. The young cat would need special care that she couldn't give her. They wanted her to have the best chance at survival possible, but they couldn't provide that in their home. After then, Sarah, a friend of Ariane's who volunteered at a shelter in Montreal, was knowledgeable about what to do. When Sarah received the call from Ariane, she agreed right away to assist in fostering the little kitten. The shelter could locate a home for the kitten if she was mature enough. They gave her the name Clochette, which is French for little bell. She was checked by a vet. They realized she was only a few weeks old and very underweight. She might have made it out of the literal woods, but she was far from out of the figurative woods. The kitten persisted in weeping and would not eat. Clochette refused to drink the formula Sarah prepared for her in a special bottle, despite Sarah's best efforts. They felt she was beyond saving because her heart was broken. For warmth and comfort, Sarah tucked Clochette inside the inside pocket of her jacket and held her there. She would offer her milk every hour in the hopes that she would take it. Clochette drank a few tiny sips after trying unsuccessfully to get her to eat all night. That was sufficient to give hope. The kitten didn't instantly recover. She continued to have a lot of trouble eating. Every few sips were a huge victory for Sarah and her family, who continued to care for the baby day and night. Since she was still so weak, Sarah would keep her inside her jacket, or she would put her in a small bed completely bundled up in blankets. When Sarah reached inside one day for the kitten's meal, she found it to be chilly. She was not breathing anymore. After performing CPR on the helpless infant, they hurried Clochette to the doctor. They wouldn't lose her now after everything they had gone through. She was weakly breathing once again. The vet treated her and administered fluids. Sarah was fighting with the team to keep this baby alive, which was the turning point. It was like the kitten felt the energy that all of the humans were putting into their efforts to save her. They were fighting for her, which gave her the strength to start fighting. Clochette was soon able to go back to her foster home and the people and other animals who had adored her. She grew more and more powerful. She didn't get well right away, but it was obvious that she was. She first began to investigate her surroundings by stepping out of bed a little bit each day. When Sarah called, she then began to arrive. At first, she was just waddling over, unsure of her little legs, but soon she was running when being called, eating better, getting stronger. And finally, she could play with the other animals in the home. It was great news, or it should have been. Sarah had heartache every time she considered the fact that this adorable baby would be heading to a different family. Her survival had been aided by the hours she spent bottle feeding, providing her with her first solid foods, and playing with her. Then Sarah took the only action she was capable of. Clochette wouldn't be visiting the shelter, so she called the rescue facility to let them know. Clochette would actually remain with Sarah and her family. No one could be happier than her foster family, who had now become her permanent happy family.